Uncle Jack, if you do not shake hands with Ernest, I will never forgive you.
Never forgive me?
Never, never, never.
Well, this is the last time I shall ever do it.
It's pleasant, is it not, to see so perfect a reconciliation? So I think we might leave the two brothers alone.
Cecily, you'll come with us.
Certainly, Miss Prism. My little task of reconciliation is over.
You've done a beautiful action today, dear child.
We must not be premature in our judgments.
I feel very happy.
Out you young scoundrel! You must get out of this place as soon as possible. I don't allow any pondering here.
I've put Mr. Earnest's things in the room next to yours, sir. I suppose that is all right?
What?
Mr. Earnest's luggage, sir. I have unpacked it and put it in the room next to your own.
His luggage?
Yes, sir. 3 portmanteaus, a dressing case, 2 hat boxes, and a large luncheon basket.
I'm afraid I can't stay more than a week this time.
Merriman, order the dog cart at once. Mr. Earnest has been suddenly called back to town.
Yes, sir.
What a fearful liar you are, Jack. I haven't been called anywhere.
Yes, you have.
I haven't heard anyone calling me.
Your duty as a gentleman called you back.
My duty as a gentleman has never interfered with my pleasures in the smallest
I
degree.
can quite understand that.
Well, Cecily is a darling.
You are not to talk of Miss Cardew like that. I don't like it.
Well, I don't like your clothes. You look perfectly ridiculous in them. Why on earth don't you go up and change? It is perfectly childish to be in deep mourning for a man who is actually staying with you for a whole week in your house as a guest. I call it grotesque.
You are certainly not staying with me for a whole week as a guest or anything else. You have got to leave. By the 4:05 train.
I certainly won't leave so long as you're in mourning. It would be most unkind. You would stay with me, I suppose, if I were in mourning. I should think it most unfriendly if you didn't.
Well, will you go if I change my clothes?
Yes, if you are not too long. I never saw anyone take so long to dress and with such little result.
Well, at any rate, that is better than always being overdressed as you.
If I am occasionally a little overdressed, I make up for it by always being immensely overeducated.
Vanity is ridiculous. Your conduct an outrage, and your presence in my garden utterly absurd. However, you have got to catch the 4:05, and I hope you have a pleasant journey back to town. This bunburying, as you call it, has not been a great success for you.
I think it has been a great success. I'm in love with Cecily, and that is everything. I'll see her before I go to make arrangements for another bunbury. Ah, there she is.
Oh, I merely came back to finish the horse trade. I thought you were with Uncle Jack.
He's gone to order the dog cart for me.
Oh, is he going to take you for a nice drive?
He's going to send me away.
Then we've got to part.
I'm afraid so. It is a very painful parting.
It is always painful to part from people whom one has known a very brief space of time. In the absence of old friends, one can endure with equanimity. But even a momentary separation from one to whom one has just been introduced is almost unbearable.
Thank you.
The dog cart is at the door, sir.
It can wait, Merriman, for 5 minutes.
Yes, miss.
I hope I will not offend you, Cecily, if I state quite frankly and openly that you seem to me to be in every way the visible personification of absolute perfection.
Your frankness does you great credit, Ernest. Pray, if you will allow me, I will enter your remarks into my diary.
Do you really keep a diary? I give anything to look at it, may I?
Oh no, you see, it is merely a young girl's record of her thoughts and impressions, and consequently meant for publication. When it appears in volume form, I do hope you will order a copy. But pray, Ernest, don't stop. I delight in taking down from dictation. I have reached absolute perfection. You can go on. I'm quite ready for more. Oh, Ernest, don't cough. When one is dictating, one should speak fluently and not cough. Besides, I don't know how to spell a cough.
Cecily, ever since I first looked upon your wonderful and incomparable beauty, I have dared to love you wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly.
I don't think you should tell me that you love me wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly. Hopelessly doesn't seem to make sense, does it?
Cecily, the dog cart is waiting, sir.
Well, tell us to come around next week at the same hour.
Yes, sir.
Uncle Jack, very much annoyed if he knew you were staying on until next week at the same hour.
Oh, I don't care about Jack. I don't care about anyone in the world but you. I love you, Cecily. You will marry me, won't you?
Why, of course, you silly boy. We've been engaged for the last 3 months.
For the last 3 months?
Yes, it will be exactly 3 months on Thursday.
But how did we become engaged?
Well, ever since Uncle Jack first confessed to us that he had a younger brother who was very wicked and bad, you, of course, formed the chief topic of conversation between myself and Miss Prism, and one who is much talked about is always very attractive. One seems to think there's something in him after all. I dare say it was foolish of me, Ernest, but I fell in love with you.
Darling, and when was the engagement actually settled?
On the 14th of February last. Worn out by your entire ignorance of my existence, I determined to end the matter one way or another. And after a deep struggle with myself, I accepted you under this dear tree here. The next day, I brought this ring in your name. And this is the bangle with the true lover's knot I promised you always to wear.
Did I give you this? It's very pretty, isn't it?
Yes, you've wonderfully good taste, Ernest. It's the excuse I always give for you leading such a bad life. And this is the box in which you wrote your letters.
My letters? My dear sweet Cecily, I have never written you any letters.
You've no need to remind me of that, Ernest. I know perfectly well I had to write your letters for you. I wrote 3 times a week, sometimes oftener.
Oh, do let me read them.
Oh no, I couldn't. They would make you far too conceited. Besides, the 3 you wrote me after I'd broken off our engagement are so beautiful and so badly spelled that even now I can hardly read them without crying a little.
But was our engagement ever broken off?
Of course it was, on the 22nd of last March. You can see the entry if you like. Today I broke off my engagement with Earnest. I feel it is better to do so. The weather still continues charming.
Why on earth did you break it off? What have I done? I had done nothing. Cecily, I'm very much hurt indeed to hear you broke it off, especially when the weather was so charming.
It could hardly have been a really serious engagement if it hadn't been broken off at least once. Besides, I forgave you before the week was out.
You are a perfect angel.
You dear romantic boy. Oh, I do love your hair. I hope it curls naturally. Does it?
Yes, with little help from others.
I'm so glad.
Cecily, you'll never break off our engagement again, will you?
I don't think I could now I've actually met you. Besides, there is the question of your name.
Yes, of course.
You mustn't laugh, darling, but it has always been a girlish dream of mine to be married to someone whose name is Earnest. The name alone seems to inspire one with absolute confidence. In fact, I pity any poor woman whose husband is not called Earnest.
But, my dear child, you don't mean to say you couldn't love me if I had some other name?
But what name?
Oh, any name you like. Algernon, for instance.
But I don't like the name Algernon.
Oh, why, oh, dear, sweet, loving little darling, I don't really see why you should object to the name Algernon. It isn't a bad name at all. In fact, it is rather an aristocratic name. Half the chaps who end up in the bankruptcy court called Algernon. But seriously, Cecily, if my name was Algie, wouldn't you love me?
I might admire you, Ernest. I might respect you, but I fear I would not be able to give you my undivided attention.
Cecily, your rector here is, I suppose, thoroughly experienced in all of the rites and ceremonials of the church.
Oh, of course. Dr. Chashirel is the most learned man. He's never written a single book in his life, so you can imagine how much he knows.
I must say at once, on a most important christening, on a most important business, I shan't more than half an hour.
I think it is rather hard that you should leave me for so long a period as half an hour, considering we have been engaged for the last 3 months. I only met you today for the first time. Couldn't you make it 20 minutes?
I'll be back in no time.
What an impetuous boy he is. I must enter his proposal into my diary.
Miss Fairfax has just called to see Mr. Worthing, miss. On most important business, Miss Fairfax states.
Isn't Mr. Worthing in his library?
Mr. Worthing went off in the direction of the rectory some time ago, miss.
Pray, ask the lady to come out here. And you can bring tea.
Yes, miss.
Miss Fairfax. I suppose one of the many good elderly women associated with Uncle Jack in his philanthropic work in London. I don't quite like women interested in philanthropic work. It's so very forward of them.
Miss Fairfax.
Pray let me introduce myself. My name is Cecily Cardew.
Cecily Cardew. What a very sweet name. I like you already more than I can possibly say. My first impressions of people are never wrong.
How nice of you to like me after we've known each other such a short time. Pray sit down.
I may call you Cecily, may I not?
With pleasure.
And you will always call me Gwendolyn, won't you?
If you wish.
Then that's quite settled then, is it not?
I hope so.
Perhaps this might be a favourable opportunity for my mentioning who I am. My father is Lord Bracknell. You've never heard of Papa, I suppose?
I don't think so.
Outside the family circle, Papa, I'm glad to say, is almost entirely unknown. I think that is quite as it should be. The home seems to be the proper sphere for the man. And certainly, once a man begins to neglect his domestic duties, he becomes painfully effeminate, does he not? And I don't like that. It makes men so very attractive. Cecily, Mamma, whose views on education are remarkably strict, has brought me up to be extremely short-sighted. It is part of her system. So, would you mind me looking at you from my glass?
Oh, not at all. In fact, I'm rather fond of being looked at.
You're having a short visit, I suppose.
Oh no, I live here.
Your mother, no doubt, or some female relative of advanced years resides here also.
No, I have no mother, nor in fact any other relations.
Indeed.
My guardian, with the assistance of Miss Prism, has the arduous task of looking after me.
Your guardian?
Yes, I am Mr. Worthing's ward.
Oh, it's very strange. He never mentioned to me that he had a ward. How secretive of him. He grows more interesting hourly. I am not sure, however, that the news inspires me with feelings of unmixed delight. I'm very fond of you, Cecily. I've liked you ever since I met you, but now that I'm bound to state you are Miss Worthing's ward, I cannot help expressing a wish that you were, well, just a little older than you seem to be, and not so very alluring in appearance. In fact, if I may speak candidly...
Pray do, dear Gwendolyn. I think that when one has anything unpleasant to say, one should always speak quite candidly.
Well, to speak with perfect candour, Cecily, I wish that you were fully 42, and more than usually plain for your age. Ernest has a strong, upright nature. He is the very soul of truth and honesty. But even men of the noblest possible moral character are easily swayed by the physical charms of others. Modern, no less ancient history provides us with many most painful examples of what I refer to. If it were not so, indeed, history would be quite unreadable.
I beg your pardon, Gwendolyn. Did you say Earnest?
Yes.
But it is not Mr. Earnest Worthing who is my guardian, but his brother, his elder brother.
Ernest never mentioned to me that he had a brother.
I'm afraid to say they've not been on good terms for a long time.
Oh, that accounts for it. And now that I come to think of it, I've never heard any man mention his brother. The subject seems distasteful to most men. Cecily, you have lifted a load off my mind. I was growing almost anxious. But are you quite sure it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is your guardian?
Quite sure. In fact, I am going to be his.
I beg your pardon?
So, I see no reason why I should make a secret of it to you, Gwendolyn. Our own county newspaper is sure to chronicle the fact next week. Mr. Ernest Worthing and I are engaged to be married.
My darling Cecily, I feel there must have been some slight error. Mr. Ernest Worthing is engaged to me. The announcement will appear in the Morning Post on Saturday at the latest.
You seem to be under some mistake, dear Gwendolyn. Ernest proposed to me exactly 10 minutes ago.
It is very curious, for he asked me to be his wife yesterday afternoon at 5:30. I can't do so. I never trouble about my diary. One should always have something sensational to read on the train. I am so sorry, dear Cecily, it's a disappointment to you, but I'm afraid I have a prior claim.
It would distress me much more than I can tell you, Gwendolyn, if it caused you any mental or physical anguish. But I feel bound to point out that since Ernest proposed to you, he has clearly changed his mind.
If the poor fellow has been entrapped into any foolish promise, I shall make it my duty to rescue him from it, and with a firm hand.